Well, guys, it's now time for my Week 9 picks of the 2022 NFL season. We're nearing the halfway point. As last week, I went 10-5, which is the second best record I had this season, although I wish I could have done a little bit better than that. But compared to how bad I've had this season, I'm going to have to take it. So anyways, here is the regular season playoff standings at the season end of today. In the AFC, it's the Bills with the bye, with Chargers at Titans, Dolphins at Chiefs, and Jets at Ravens. And the NFC, it's the Eagles with the bye, with 49ers at Vikings, Giants at Seahawks, and Cowboys at Falcons. So my Super Bowl prediction right now is the Bills over the Eagles for like the fourth week in a row. So anyways, it's now time for my Week 9 picks, as it starts with Thursday night tonight, as the Eagles are at the Texans for the first time since 2014. The Eagles have won the last 5, and the Texans have never beaten the Eagles. And the Eagles try to go 8-0 for first time since, I actually don't know because I never looked it up. Because it's been probably a long time, maybe first time ever. As funny enough too, World Series and the NFL Network going up against each other with the same cities as well. So anyways, the Eagles crushed the Steelers, still remain undefeated with the best record in the league. Defense looking really dominant. The offense I'm still not fully sold on yet. Meanwhile, the Texans lost to, I don't remember who, but that's right, the Titans, which actually was really close, but in the end, they still lost, as they have like one of the worst offenses in the league right now. Nothing looking really right for them. I am picking the Eagles for this one. And then we get to Sunday action, as it will be the Chargers at the Falcons for the first time since 2016. Chargers won the last 2. The Falcons haven't beaten them since 2012, and they haven't won at home since 2004. So the Chargers from their bye, when they got humiliated by the Seahawks 2 weeks ago, like, how do you lose to them like that, for crying out loud? And meanwhile, the Falcons, thanks to their clutch comeback victory against the Panthers when they almost choked it away, they are now 4-4 and leading the NFC West. That doesn't sound very impressive because the NFC West is dog shit right now, but hey, they're the only ones right now with a non-losing record, so they still are somewhat competitive at the moment. So the Chargers need to watch out for them, because the Falcons, despite their terrible defense and their inconsistent offense, are scoring points, that's for sure, and keeping up. But I'm going to pick the Chargers for this one. Then it's the Dolphins at the Bears for the first time since 2014. Dolphins won the last 2. The Bears haven't beaten them since 2010, and they haven't won at home against the Dolphins since 1988. So the Dolphins won against the Lions last week. Comeback, offensive showcase, looking really good. It looks like they're finally now recovering from the 3-game losing streak. Meanwhile, the Bears, offensively they showed up, but defensively they got crushed by the Cowboys, to, I guess, nobody's surprise, as they got obliterated. I'm picking the Eagles for this one, especially since, like I said, it's been over almost 35 years since the Eagles have lost to the Bears in Chicago. And the Dolphins, for some reason, always put up a beat down when they visit the Bears, even when they were maybe better during those years. Then it's the Panthers at the Bengals for the first time since 2014. The Panthers won the last one. The Bengals haven't beaten them since 2014. The Panthers never beaten the Bengals in Cincinnati, although they tied, remember, in 2014. So the Panthers are 2-6. They almost pulled up the comeback against the Falcons. Maybe if you didn't do that penalty receiver, maybe you would have won it there. But they lost, as they're now one of the worst records in the league. Although they actually been playing more competitive once, I already forgot the coach's name, was fired. And just think, if they beat the Falcons, they would lead the division right now. So Bengals should not underestimate them. After the Bengals got crushed by the Browns last week, should have seen that coming. So this could maybe be a trap game for the Bengals, but I'm still going to pick them. But watch out for the Panthers. Then it's the Packers at the Lions. As the Lions won the last one, the Packers haven't beaten them since last year, and they haven't won in Ford Field since 2020. As the Packers got spanked by the Bills, and they now lost 4 in a row. They have a worse season now than last year. Meanwhile, the Lions, their offense showed up, but their defense choked again in the final stretch as they lost to the Dolphins, as they continue to have I think they have like the longest losing streak in the league right now. They lost like 5 in a row right now. Definitely a little bit of a concern. Now, this is kind of a trap game for both teams. The Lions, despite their struggles, have actually had pretty competitive games, remember, against the Packers in the last several years. In fact, if I remember correctly, the Lions actually have a winning record against the Packers, not only at Ford Field, but possibly since 2017. Because they've swept them in 2017, 2018, and then split in 2021. So it actually might be around 500. So despite the Lions' struggles and the Packers being much better, the Lions have had pretty good chances against them. But this is also a trap game for the Lions, too, because the Packers now lost 4 in a row and now playing an actual weaker opponent, so maybe they can pull it off. This might be crazy, and I would probably deserve a pie on my face, but I'm actually going to pick the Lions in an upset right now. But watch, of course, the Packers are going to crush them. Alright, so next up is the Raiders at the Jaguars for the first time since 2016. The Jaguars won the last one. The Raiders haven't beaten them since 2016, and the Jaguars haven't won at home since 2010, as the Raiders got shut out by the Saints. I wasn't expecting that. Complete humiliation. Meanwhile, the Jaguars just could not win it again against whoever they played, since it won't come to my head. But 2-6, now they've lost 5 in a row, although they have a better winning percentage, since they scored more than they allowed. And statistically, they're not playing that bad for a 2-6 team. Certainly a lot better than the Raiders, but they just cannot win games. Oh boy, after the way they played against the Raiders and the Jaguars still playing tough against all their opponents, I'm going to have to pick the Jaguars for this one. Alright then, just able to fit them all right there. Next up is the Colts at Patriots for the first time since 2018. The Colts won the last one. Patriots haven't beaten them since 2018, and the Colts haven't won in Foxborough since 2006. So the Colts lost 2 in a row now as they choked it away against the Commanders when they had it too by losing by a point. Meanwhile, the Patriots had a really tough game against the Jets before they finally got it in the end, as they're now back to 500, as this is going to be a tough game to figure out as both teams are being inconsistent and all that. Oh my god. This is a very tough one. It might come down to the quarterback play at the end. And I might have to just barely pick the Colts, because I actually was thinking about maybe picking the Patriots like all day, but then thinking about the quarterback play, I think I might trust the Colts just barely, but I won't be surprised if the Patriots get it. Then we get to what should be a big AFC matchup, but I don't really think so, as the Bills are at the Jets. Bills won the last 4. The Jets haven't beaten them since 2019, and they haven't won at home since 2017. As the Bills are 6-1 now. I can't remember who they played. Oh yeah, that's right, they spanked the Packers, like I just mentioned, as they still look like the best team in the league other than a running game. Meanwhile, the Jets lost a close one to the Patriots when Zach Wilson completely shit himself and played horrible, as the Jets' 4-game losing streak came to an end. I'm picking the Bills for this one. I just don't really trust the Jets in any single regard. Then it's the Vikings at the Commanders for the first time since 2017, as the Vikings won the last 2. The Commanders haven't beaten them since 2016. And Redskins rule, please apply. Commanders must win. So anyways, the Vikings held on and barely beat the Cardinals, as they have the second best record in the league and the second best in the NFC. Completely dominating everyone else in the NFC NFC North right now. Meanwhile, the Commanders, after a terrible start, have now won 3 in a row and are right at 500 for crying out loud. How about the entire NFC East being at 500 or better? So, interesting matchup this will be. And Kirk Cousins return to Landover after 5 years. This is actually quite an interesting pick, but I think I might actually pick the Commanders in an upset, as I don't really see the Vikings with their terrible stats for 6-1 team holding on. They got to take a loss eventually, just like the Giants did last week. Then, our NFC West matchup, as the Seahawks are at the Cardinals. Seahawks won the last one. The Cardinals haven't beaten them since 2021, and they haven't won at home since 2020, as the Seahawks have now won 3 in a row. They spanked the Giants last week, as they now have 2 games over 500, dominating everyone else in the NFC West at the moment. Meanwhile, the Cardinals lost to the Vikings in a close one, as looks like this game is going to be just all offenses. Their offenses are pretty good, Seahawks being near elite, but their defenses have been really horrible. So you know what? Maybe in an upset, I'm going to probably pick the Cardinals again to get this one. Then it's a matchup we all thought was going to be huge before the season started, but now it looks horrible as the Rams are at the Buccaneers for the first time since 2020. As the Rams won the last one, the Buccaneers haven't beaten them since 2019, and the Rams, they haven't won at home against them since 2016. As the Rams got crushed by the 49ers as their NFC Championship rematch, as this is going to be the rematch of their divisional round game last year, as their offense looks like one of the worst in the league. Honestly, even worse than the Texans. The Texans don't look this bad, but the Rams have one of the best defense in the league, probably because of their bye recently. Meanwhile, the Buccaneers have lost now 3 in a row, as they lost to the Ravens last week, as their offense looks horrible, and their elite defense at the start of the year is now not looking as good as well. Like I said at the beginning of the season, when they were 2-0, they didn't look that impressive. And this is showing up right now. As, oh my god, seeing how these teams play, this is probably going to be a defensive slugfest. And Stafford has been horrible. Brady has not been that impressive, but he has a bigger touchdown interception ratio than Stafford. So I'm picking the Buccaneers for right now. And then we get to Sunday night. Matchup record-wise, awesome, but I still don't think I think it's a mismatch. As the Titans are at the Chiefs for the first time since 2016. 2016. Titans won the last 4. The Chiefs haven't beaten them since 2013. As the Titans, despite their struggles, especially with Ryan Tannehill not playing last week, are 5-2. They've won 5 in a row despite their offense being horrible. Even Derrick Henry's not even getting their rushing offense near elite, but their defense is playing near elite level to save them. Meanwhile, the Chiefs have, I can't remember who they played last time out because they did have their bye last week. But they won whatever game it was last time they played, as their offense is near elite other than their running game, as their defense being kind of mediocre. I'm picking the Chiefs for this one. Let's see if the Titans can pull off another upset like they've always been doing against the Chiefs lately. And then finally, Monday night, second time in a row they played on Monday night when they visited them, as the Ravens are at the Saints for the first time since 2014. Ravens won the last one. The Saints haven't beaten them. No, the Saints won the last one. The Ravens haven't beaten them since that last Monday night game I mentioned in 2014. And the Saints have never beaten the Ravens in New Orleans. They've only played in New Orleans 2 times beforehand. So the Ravens have now won 2 in a row. They beat the Buccaneers pretty convincingly last week, although their defense still doesn't look really good. Their offense, other than passing game, looks solid and really good. Actually, elite if it went for their quarterback play. Meanwhile, the Saints crushed and shut out the Raiders, even though their defense stats did not really improve much. Yet somehow, their offense all of a sudden lately has looked elite. I have no idea how, but that's directly from the site I use to get their stats from. I find that a little hard to believe that they have like one of the elite offenses right now. But yeah, still not fully trust the Saints despite that shutout, so I'm picking the Ravens for this one. Alright, so those are my picks for week 9. I cannot wait for Eagles at Texans tonight. So my picks are Eagles over the Texans, Chargers over the Falcons, Dolphins over the Bears, Panthers over the Bengals, Lions over the Packers, and Bengals over the Panthers. I messed it up. Jaguars over the Raiders, Colts over the Patriots, Bills over the Jets, Commanders over the Vikings, Cardinals over the Seahawks, Buccaneers over the Rams, Chiefs over the Titans, and Ravens over the Saints. So see you guys next time for Week 10.